This is PokeRogue, a brutal, fast-paced roguelike Pokemon experience where one bad move means game over. And today, I'm doing something I've never tried before. I let ChatGPT pick a random type for me for this challenge, and it picked ground type. So now, I'm taking on the entire game using only ground type Pokemon. No backups, no variety, no mercy. Just a whole lot of mud, sand, and earthquakes. This is my first ever Monotype challenge, and I went into it thinking, hey, you know what? Ground's a pretty strong type. This will be easy.
I was wrong.
The rules to this challenge are simple. I'm only allowed to use ground types. Dupes clause is on, so no duplicates. And the goal, to beat every route, elite fight, and endgame boss with only the power of the earth beneath me. PokeRogue throws you randomized routes, relentless trainers, and boss fights stacked with legendaries your way. So I had to get creative. Building my team wasn't just about raw stats. It was about type coverage, ability synergy, and clutch moves like Protect, Stealth Rock, and Earthquake. But through every close call, every rebuild, and every lucky crit, I kept digging. So stick around, because I'm taking you through the entire journey and wild ride of my PokeRogue ground type only challenge. The wins, the losses, and the unexpected MVPs, and everything in between. And it all started with this guy. Groudon's robust stats, strategic moveset, and versatility make it the premier choice for a ground-type-only challenge in PokeRogue. Whether it's dealing massive damage, setting up residual effects, or recovering health, Groudon has what it takes to take us all the way. Next, we selected Drillbur. With its evolution into Excadrill, it gains the Steel typing, giving us a needed poison immunity and a good counter for fairies. And with its decent speed stat and high attack stat, as well as its ability to use Sword Stance, we have a fast setup sweeper on our hands. Next, we have Barboach. This thing may not look like much, but he saved his run on multiple occasions. With its evolution into Whiscash, it boasts a decent health stat, as well as very good egg moves in the form of Dragon Dance, Zing Zap, and Ice Spinner, which pairs well with our ability Simple, which doubles any stat changes, allowing us to set up with Dragon Dance, increase our stats by 4 times in one move, and hit hard. And last we have Burmy. Yes, that's right, Burmy. Though the reason may surprise you, it's because of his shiny. Yes, I said his shiny. In this game, unlike every other Pokemon game you will ever find, a shiny actually has value. The value of a shiny is its luck. There are 3 levels of shinies. Levels yellow, blue, and red. Correspondingly, luck 1, luck 2, and luck 3. Essentially, the higher the shiny, the higher the luck value it brings to your team when it comes to the drops you get at the end of each round. So let's just say that Burmy is here simply for the shiny luck and move on. And with our team decided, let's get down and dirty into this ground type only challenge. Starting off, we have Groudon use Stone Axe to set up rocks to break any focus bands or sashes. And for our items, we're going to start out taking the lures whenever available to get that extra experience needed. And any berries we get will be given to Groudon so that whenever we face a boss, he can get the ultimate power boost. On floor 5, we come across youngster Jake. He throws out a Wurmple, and we simply go for a Stone Axe to set up more stones and to take out his Wurmple. Next, he sends in a Sentret, and we take it out with Stone Axe once again. On round 8, we encounter our rival. He throws out a Bulbasaur, and we throw out our Groudon to counter and use Sacred Fire to take him out in one shot. His team is no match for our red tier shiny Groudon. He throws out a Fletchling. We use Stone Axe to counter,
and take him out. And as a reward, we are given the Dynamax Band. On floor 9, we grab a nugget right before facing the level 10 boss, Oddish. Oddish, being a grass type, is no problem against our Sacred Fire Groudon. Starting out on floor 11, we use Stone Axe to set up stones for future routes and then take them out with Precipice Blades. As we defeat them, we end up getting a rare candy, which we give to Groudon because we want him at his highest level. On our way, we encounter the global trading system, and it offers to trade one of our Pokemon, which we decline. We encounter Professor Pikachu for the first time since I've played this game, and then we face our first gym leader, Chili. Chili starts out with his good old trusty Tepig, and we come in with Groudon and use Precipice Blades. And to follow up, we do the same thing with Pansear. With no effort on our part, we have just secured our first gym badge. Now, these next couple rounds could be dangerous because of the fact that a large portion of these Pokemon are going to be grass type. Luckily, our Groudon knows Sacred Fire. After taking out this Cottony, we get very lucky and get the Mega Bracelet, guaranteeing the chance to be able to get our Primal Groudon to face off against Eternatus. On round 15, we face off against our rival again with his newly evolved Ivysaur. We use Sacred Fire to take it down and have the opportunity to learn Bulk Up, which we trade out for Thunder Wave. His next Pokemon is going to end up being a Fletchinder, which we use Bulk Up to set up, and then we use a Stone Axe to sweep and set up more rocks. After that, our Barboach is going to learn Water Pulse, and then he's going to throw out his Cryogonal. To take out his Cryogonal, we're going to use Sacred Fire, which is going to take him out in one shot. As a reward for winning, we get an XP charm, which will increase our XP gain. And Drillbur decides it is time to finally learn a good metal move and learn Metal Claw. As a reward for defeating level 29, we also earn the Candy Jar. Facing off against Sunflora, the boss for level 30, we take it out with one Sacred Fire and no fuss at all. On floor 31, we end up getting the leftovers as our item, which we take and put on Groudon. Next, we encounter two Pokemon that we can catch in Nincada and Nidorina. However, we can only pick one, so we decide to go with the Nidorina female because its final evolution is ground type, whereas with Nincada, we would not be able to evolve him if we wanted to use him. So we chose Nidorina female. Next, we found a Nidorino in the next floor, and we decided to go ahead and take it, because why not unite the king and queen? On floor 34, we ran into Papaya, my beauties, but unfortunately, this is not a fire type only challenge, so we had to take them down. We come across our first Team Galactic Grunt, and he throws out a Glameow, which we take down with Precipice Blades. Next, he throws out a Gligar, which we take down with two Stone Axes. Bada bing, bada boom. Burmy decides to evolve right after that. However, we made a mistake and made him the wrong gender, so he evolved into the wrong Burmy evolution, making him ineligible for this challenge. So it's time to say sayonara. Next on floor 37, we encounter my favorite Pokemon of all time, the one, the glorious, the elegant Ninetales. But we had to take it out. Goodbye, my beauty. And right before facing the round 40 boss, we get a Relic Gold as an item, giving us a lot of money to help. And now we face a Zangoose, which we use Stone Axe to weaken to half, and Stone Axe again brings it just about to the end. And one final move takes it out for good. After taking down Atropius, on floor 44, our Drillbur finally evolves, giving us the steel typing we so desperately needed. And right after, our Barboach also decides to evolve into Whiscash, giving us another boost in power that we so desperately needed. We finally reach round 50 and take on the gym leader, Bugsy. He throws out a Pinsir. We take down his Pinsir with a Sacred Fire. he throws in a Yanma, and we take him out with a Sacred Fire just as well. And you can pretty much assume that his Cleavor will be taken out by Sacred Fire as well as anything else he throws out. The Shuckle comes out, and it takes 2 Stone Axes to take it out, but we take it out with no issue, and there is our Bug Badge. We face our rival on floor 55. He throws out a Venusaur, and we take it down with a Sacred Fire. Bada bing, bada boom. Next, he throws in a Talonflame, which we take down with a Stone Axe, setting up some stones to give ourselves the advantage for his next Pokemon. We do get burned, but he throws in a Phoebus, which, with our ability, makes water moves practically worthless. So, we use Precipice Blades to take out his Phoebus, and then he throws out a Cryogonal. We use Sacred Fire to take down his Cryogonal, and that's the end of our rival fight. And we take the Metal Coat to give to Excadrill. On floor 58, we get a Moonstone as a reward, and we decide to evolve Nidorino to get Nidoking, the one, the only, the King. And on floor 60, we face the boss Superior. We throw a Nidoking and decide to try Megahorn. He takes us down to half with Leaf Blade, and we take him down 1/4 with Megahorn. We try it again, but he takes us out with a Leaf Blade before we get the chance. We decide to go ahead and throw in Groudon, even though we're burned, and use Sacred Fire. He brings us down to 29 with a Leaf Blade, and we take him down to half and give him a burn. We try to use Sacred Fire, but we are out of PP, so we go for Stone Axe. But he does Mega Drain and takes us out before we can. So we throw in Excadrill and use Ice Spinner, which takes it out in 1 shot. On floor 62, we encounter another Team Galactic member who throws out a Wormadam. We use Rock Slide to take it out, and he throws out a Carnivine, which we also use Ice Spinner to take down in 1 shot. Excadrill learns Earthquake, finally, and he sends out a Bronzong, which we use Earthquake to take down. We then head onto floor 63, where we encounter a Marowak and a Hunter, which is amazing because that gives us another capture. We capture it right away and replace it with Nidorina. We also get the Skull TM, which we decide to go ahead and give to Whiscash, because who doesn't want the burn to lessen attack power? We then run into some more Galactic Grunts, who throw out a Carnivine and a Toxicroak. We respond with Ice Spinner from Excadrill and a Precipice Blades from Groudon. They then send out a Perugly, which we take down with a combination of Stone Axe and Ice Spinner, leaving them nowhere to run but back to mommy. A Drapion comes in and blocks a bush. We approach it, since we have the type advantage, and take it out with 1 Earthquake. As a reward, we pick a Citrus Berry and add it to Groudon. On floor 66, we run into Jupiter, the commander of Team Galactic, who throws out a Magnezone and switches out to a Magmar. We take it out with an Earthquake and heal up with that Citrus Berry before taking down the Bronzong with another Earthquake. She throws out her Magnezone again, and we use Earthquake to take it out. Next, she throws in a Skuntank, and we, again, spam Earthquake to take it out. These Galactic guys are no problem when it throws out another Poison-type Drapion, which goes out in 1 hit to Earthquake. On floor 68, we run into a Claydol, which we decide to capture because of its advantageous Psychic typing against Eternatus' Poison type. We decide to trade it for Mothim, as Mothim has been of no use other than its shiny luck. On floor 70, we encounter the boss Chimichou, which we take out with 2 Megahorns. Moving on to the next set of floors, our first encounter is a Vibrava, which is fantastic, as we can finally get a Dragon type on our team. After we bring it down to literally 1 health, we use a Great Ball and capture it, and we have a future Flygon on the team. Because on the next floor, our Vibrava does evolve into that Flygon I so wanted. On floor 75, our reward is a red orb, which is the best item we could have gotten, as it gives us the ability to evolve into our primal Groudon and completely wipe the floor with any future enemies we face. On floor 76, we run into a Crocodile. The bad man that he is, we decide to take out the Armaldo and try to take and capture the Crocodile. After taking down the Armaldo, we capture the Crocodile with no issue. After capturing Crocodile, we get an XP charm, which is going to be so good for boosting our levels. Next, we encounter a group of scientists who just throw out a Muck and a Hypno to take us on, but they will be no match for us. We take them both down with a Precipice Blades, and then we encounter our next gym leader Gordy, who sends out a Macargo. We go for Scald, but he switches into Shuckle. We go for another Scald, and it gets the burn. And he switches out into Stonejourner, which goes down with one Scald. He switches into Tyranitar, which we take down with 3 Scalds. However, he leaves us just about dead. Next comes out the Shuckle, and with 1 Scald and the burn, it goes down. Next out comes Colossus, which is quite weak to Earthquake, so we hit him with an Earthquake and almost kill him. However, he takes down our Whiscash. Next, we send out the Flygon and use Earth Power. However, he decides to switch into his Macargo, which goes down. He then sends out his Colossus again, and we use Earth Power to take it out. On floor 89, we encounter an Alakazam and a Ruinarigus. Since Ruinarigus is a ground type, we decide to go ahead and catch it. So we take out the Alakazam and go ahead and throw a Great Ball and catch the Ruinarigus. We decide to switch it out for Claydol, since Claydol doesn't even have that good of a base stat anyway. On floor 90, the boss is a Hypno, which we take out with just a couple of foul plays. It does manage to confuse us, but we still take it out anyway. On floor 95, our rival appears and throws out his newly evolved Venusaur. We throw out Flygon and go for Earth Power, but he switches out into Cryogonal. We decide to switch it out into Excadrill and take on Ice Beam to about half health, and we decide to switch again out into Groudon, and he switches into Talonflame. We set up rocks with Stone Axe to take out the Talonflame. Then he sends out Milotic. However, with Groudon's ability, we don't have to worry about water attacks. So we set up as many bulk ups as we can while it tries to hit us with water attacks. And finally, after maxing out our attack and defense stats, we go for a Precipice Blaze to take it out. He then sends in Cryogonal, which we try to take out with Stone Axe, but we miss and it takes us down to near half health. Then we go for another Stone Axe and do take it out. He then sends in his Venusaur, which we take out with a Sacred Fire, and luckily we end up learning Solar Beam, which is so good, and we trade that out for Bulk Up. He then sends out his Electivire, which we take out with Precipice Blades. Bada bang, bada boom. And with that, we have taken out our rival and can move on to the boss for floor 100, which ends up being a Garganacl and a Blaziken, which we take out with 1 Precipice Blades. We have the choice to choose now between going to the volcano and the Wasteland, and we choose the Wasteland. On floor 103, we encounter veteran duo Brony and Cecile, who threw out a Tatsugiri and a Garchomp. We take them out with 1 Precipice Blades, And then, right after, we encounter a Garchomp in the wild. We use Precipice Blades to bring it down to near death and defeat the Sliggoo so that we can catch it. We attempt to catch it with an Ultra Ball, and on the second ball, we manage to make it on our team. Who we decide to replace it with is Flygon, simply because they are the identical typing to each other and Garchomp has a higher base stat total. We then encounter Gym Leader Claire on floor 110, and she sends out a Dracozolt, which we counter with Groudon. She then switches out into a Gyarados, which causes us to miss our Precipice Blades. We attempt to hit it with a Stone Axe, but because of our paralyzation, we miss. But because of it using a Dragon Terror last turn, it allows us to hit it with Precipice Blades after 2 turns. Claire throws out her Dragonite, and we try to hit it with a Stone Axe, but we miss. Next turn, we try to use a Stone Axe again, and it uses Outrage, but we take it to near red health. We go for a Stone Axe again, and it uses Outrage one more time, but confuses itself, and we get paralyzed. Dragonite hits us with an Outrage again, and we manage to take it down with another Stone Axe. Claire sends in her Kingdra, and we decide to use Solar Beam. It tries to use Water Move, but it can't hit us, so our Solar Beam almost KOs it. We go for Solar Beam again, and thanks to our ability, it is KO'd in 2 hits. She throws out her Druddigon, and we use Precipice Blades, but we miss our first attempt. We use it again and connect and KO it. Next, she throws out a Baxcalibur, and we try to use Precipice Blades, but again, we miss due to paralyzation. It almost takes us out with an Icicle Crash, but we made it to take it out with a Stone Axe before it can take us out. She throws back in Dracozolt, and we go for Precipice Blades, taking it out after it uses Stone Edge.
And that takes care of Gym Leader Claire.
Next, on floor 112, we face another Team Galactic Grunt who throws out her Ugly. It tries to take us out with a Stomping Tantrum, but it does nothing, and we take it out with a Precipice Blades. And they next throw out a Mothim, which we take out with a Stone Axe, setting up stones. They then throw out a Toxicroak, which we take out with a neatly placed Precipice Blades. Their next Pokemon that they send out is going to be a Bronzong, which we take out with a Sacred Fire. Their whole team is just weak to Groudon, isn't it? It sends out a Luxray, and after a Precipice Blades, that is the end of this Grunt. We then face Galactic Commander Saturn, who sends out his Bastiodon. We use Precipice Blades, and he switches out to Gyarados. We then go for a Stone Axe to take it out in 1 shot. And then it throws out a Mamoswine. We use Solar Beam on it to take it out in just 1 hit. And then, after that, they send out an Alakazam, which we then switch and use Precipice Blades on to take it out. It does get a Psychic off, though. After that, they throw out a Toxicroak, which we take down with Precipice Blades. Bada bang, bada boom. They then send out Bastiodon again, which we do take out with another Precipice Blades. After that, they send out Magnezone, which again is quad weak to Precipice Blades, and we take it down. We then face the boss Cyrus, who throws out Gyarados first. Our Desolate Land takes away his water moves, but we use Stone Axe to bring it down to yellow health, and then again, another Stone Axe to take it out. The next Pokemon he throws in is going to be a Braviary, which we take down with 1 Stone Axe. No problem. They send in a Uxie, which we use Sacred Fire on, and it gets the burn and almost kills it, but not quite. It does get a boost in stats, but that's not an issue when they've got the burn and I've got Groudon. We switch into Whiscash, and the burn takes it out. They then send in a Weavile, and we use Earthquake to bring it to half health. And another Earthquake with the Water Terra, it takes it out. They then bring in Magnezone, and we switch to Crocodile and use Earthquake, while they switch out the Magnezone into Mega Houndoom. It does get taken out with the Earthquake. Our ability Moxie boosts our attack, and we use Earthquake again to take out Cyrus's Magnezone. And that is the end of Team Galactic Leader Cyrus. And at the end of that battle, we earn a Garchomp bite, which allows us to Mega Evolve our Garchomp. He looks so good, guys. On floor 120, we encounter a Gliscor, which I'm tempted to capture, but I decide to pass on. Instead, we decide to try and take it out with our new Mega Garchomp, but it doesn't seem to work out as well as I thought it would, and he gets us pretty low with Crab Hammers. So we decide to switch him out with Groudon. With his ability, it'll cancel out the Crab Hammers. So then we decide to go for a Stone Axe, thinking that it would take it out with one hit, but it actually is more resilient than I thought, and it takes 3 more Stone Axes for us to take it out. After Gliscor goes down, we decide to go to the mountains, where we take down a ton of Pokemon with Stone Axe and Precipice Blades. Our boss on floor 130 is a Fearow, which has 3 health bars, and we take it out with 3 shots with a Stone Axe. We decide to go to the volcano location so that we can have an easy time with fire types. We encounter a Rotom Heat for the first one, and we take it out with Precipice Blades and move on. We encounter something I've never seen before in a playthrough, which is a blazing storm of ash. It asks us, the whirling sands and embers have cut visibility to near 0. It seems like there might be some source that is causing these conditions. What could be behind the phenomenon like this? We decide to throw out our fire-resistant Pokemon to help and see what's going on. And it ends up just being 2 Volcarona that were in a mating dance, and they didn't realize the chaos they were causing. So we help them on their way and gain a spell tag out of it as a reward. We also get an ability charm, which is so good for any future Pokemon we may catch. We encounter a Camerupt, which is again so tempting to catch since it has a Mega form, but we decide to go ahead and pass. We encounter a Ninetales again, my sweet, but we have to take it out to move on. We also take down the Colossus in order to move on and face the boss on floor 140. On floor 140, we face the gym leader Kabu, who sends out his Turtonator. We send out Groudon and go for Precipice Blades, and it takes him out on the first shot. He then sends out a trusty Arcanine, and we go for Precipice Blades again. Again. He uses Close Combat, but it barely does anything. And we take it out, and then he throws out Ninetales. And it hurts to do so, but we have to take it out. Then he decides to throw in his Colossus, and we take it out, no issue. He has 2 more Pokemon left, his Torkoal and his Centiskorch, which we take both out with Precipice Blades. He has a Sash on his Centiskorch, but we take it out again in one more turn with Stone Axe. And that is our fire badge. Thank you. Thank you, Kabu, for the badge. Next, on floor 145, we encounter our rival again, and this time, I'm pretty sure he has his legendary Rayquaza with him. Yes, sirree. We tried Destiny Bond, but we can't get it off in time. We do get it off, but after the hurricane. I thought it would work, but it doesn't seem to affect the Rayquaza for some reason. So we throw in Mega Garchomp, but he gets taken out with Dragon Darts. We then throw in Whiscash and try to use Rock Slide, which takes it down a quarter, and then another quarter, and then we finally get it down to just 1/4 of a health when he takes us down with the Hurricane. We then throw in Groudon, who then uses Stone Axe, but he switches into Talonflame, which gets taken out by the Stone Axe. He then switches out into Milotic, which we use Solar Beam to take out in one shot. Bada bing, bada boom, get out of the room. He sends out his Cryogonal, which we take out with a Sacred Fire after taking an Ice Beam. He goes down, and out comes the Rayquaza. But he goes down directly after due to his low health and stones. He then sends out his Venusaur, and we take it out with a Sacred Fire. He terras, but it still does nothing in the face of Sacred Fire. He then sends out his Electivire, which we take out with a Precipice Blades. And that is our Floor 145 rival fight. Moving on, we find a Palossand, which is tempting to take onto the team, but we already have a much better base stat total in Ruinarigus. But surprisingly, he takes out a Groudon with 1 Earth Power. We sent out Whiscash to take it out and get it with a Scald, but he heals after Mega Draining. We then decide to throw out a Ruinarigus and try to Shadow Claw, but he Shadow Balls us first. This thing is starting to look like a real threat, so we send in Excadrill and try to use Ice Spinner, which fails. After failing Fissure, we also throw back out Garchomp because it took out our Excadrill, and use Crunch, which does some decent damage, but he almost takes us out with 1 Shadow Ball. We bring it so close to dying with Crunch, but he takes out our Mega Garchomp. We then send out Krookodile, who uses Foul Play to finish him off, and that is our level 150 boss done. We don't face much until floor 160, where we end up facing a Kilowattrel, which goes down in only a couple of Stone Axes. We encounter a large pile of trash and are offered the chance to dig for valuables or investigate further. We decide to dig for valuables and end up walking away with 2 leftovers, a shell bell, and a black sludge. Next, we encounter Cyrus again on Route 165, and we switch to Whiscash. And it uses Aerial Ace and almost takes us out. We try to use Ice Beam, but it does end up taking us out with the Aerial Ace. We switch into Excadrill and go for Ice Spinner, and it uses Leech Life but does nothing. We take it down to half health and go for Ice Spinner again. It almost takes us out, and after the 3rd Ice Spinner, it goes down, and he sends out Mega Houndoom, which takes our Excadrill out with a Heat Wave. Then we send out Mega Garchomp, which goes for Dragon Rush, but he switches out into Weavile. We switch out into Krookodile, which gets hit by an Avalanche and almost kills us. Then we use an Earthquake. They use an Avalanche and take us out. And then we send in Ruinarigus, who gets taken out by a Darkest Lariat. We then send in Garchomp again, who gets taken out by 1 Avalanche. Things are starting to really look bleak as we send in our Primal Groudon, who takes out Weavile with 1 Stone Axe. He then sends out a Uxie, who we take out in 2 Precipice Blades. He sends out a Houndoom, which we take out with Precipice Blades as well. He then sends in his Dialga, which, after liberal use of Precipice Blades, we take out in 2 hits. He throws out his Magnezone next, and we take that out with no issue as well. And with that, we have beat Cyrus again. On floor 170, we encounter Gym Leader Bryson, who throws out a Lapras, and we throw out a Groudon to counter We decide to go for Solar Beam and bring it down into the red. We then go for a Stone Axe to try and finish it off, but it doesn't quite finish it. He then switches to his Darmanitan, which we take out with a Stone Axe. He switches to Cryogonal and terrestrializes into ice, but we still take him out with one Stone Axe. He then switches into his Vanillux, and we take it out with one Sacred Fire. He brings in a Beartic, and it is blown away by our Sacred Fire move. And lastly, he throws in a Sand Slash, but it can't withstand the heat and goes down. Lapras comes out, but is taken out by stones, and that is the end of this gym battle. On floor 172, we encounter two Mamoswine, which are attempting to take onto the team for the Ice-type advantage against Eternatus's Dragon-type, but we decide to pass. On floor 178, we encounter a gentleman who's trying to offer us rare sales trade, but we refuse since we don't even know if we'd get a Ground-type. On floor 180, we encounter Glastrier, the legendary Ice Rider. We take him down with one Sacred Fire and move on to the final stage of this run where we finally face the Elite Four. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the final set of fights. We face Elite Four trainer Chantel, who throws out a Coffagrigus. We use Precipice Blades, and it hits us with a Shadow Ball before switching out into a Jellicent, which goes down to our Precipice Blades. She throws out a Golurk and terrestrializes into Ghost, but still, we take it out with our Precipice Blades. She throws out a Smagius and hits us with a Shadow Ball, but goes down to Sacred Fire. Poltergeist comes out next, and after 2 or 3 Stone Axes, it's out of here. She throws in a Chandelier, but after 2 Stone Axes, it bites the dust. Coffagrigus comes back in, and we take it down with 1 Stone Axe. And that is Elite Four member Chantel. Thank you very much. Moving on, we face Elite Four Marshall. He throws out Thor, and we throw out Excadrill and use Swords Dance to bulk up, and then we use Earthquake. We take him out, and then he sends out his Emboar, but we use Earthquake to take him out as well. He throws in a Breloom, and we go for Ice Spinner, hoping to capitalize on our speed boost. He goes for Conkeldurr, and we bring it down to half health before it takes us out, and we have to bring in our Mega Garchomp. We go for Dragon Rush, and he switches to Kommo-o, which is very fortunate since it gets taken down in one shot. Mienshao comes out and uses Terastallization for fighting, but we switch into Runerigus and take it out. Conkeldurr comes out next and uses Ice Hammer, but it doesn't do much, so we Power Split before going for an Earthquake. We tried to Terra Earthquake to take him out, but it just doesn't cut it. So we switch out to Mega Garchomp and use Dragon Rush to take it out for good. And that's the Elite Four fighting type member. Next, we take on Elite Four member Grimsley, who throws out a Liepard. He switches into Mandibuzz after we try to take him down with Dragon Rage, and that takes down the Mandibuzz. He switches into Kingambit, and we switch out into Crocodile. He uses Iron Head, which brings us down to 27, but we manage to get an Earthquake on his Scrafty and bring him into the red as well. We do one more Earthquake, which takes out his Scrafty. He brings in his Suian Samurott, but we take it out in one Earthquake. He then throws in his Crocodile and terrestrializes into Dark, but we take him out in an Earthquake also. He brings out Kingambit, and we repeat the process. He throws in Liepard, and it takes us out. So we switch into Excadrill and use Ice Spinner. He uses knockoffs. He barely survives the Ice Spinner, but the second one takes him out. And that is it for Elite Four Grimsley. On floor 18, we encounter Elite Four Caitlyn. She throws out her Mashurna. We go for a Stone Axe, but it doesn't do very much. Then we go for a Solar Beam, which brings it down to the red, but also gives us a Toxic. We heal from our poison due to a Lumberry, and then we Precipice Blades, and we take it down. Next, they throw in a Braviary, which we nearly take out with a Stone Axe. We then take it out with a Sacred Fire. Next, she sends in a Gothitelle. We use Precipice Blades to bring it to half health. And then it uses Future Sight and we bring it down with the Precipice Blades. She throws in a Reuniclus and terrestrializes into Psychic, but goes down to 1 Precipice Blades. She next throws in a Gallade and goes down to Sacred Fire. Gothitelle decides to come back, and we Sacred Fire it and toast it up nice and crispy. And that goes our 4th Elite Four member. It is now time for the champion, Iris! She throws out a Druddigan, and we start with Groudon. We use a Stone Axe and bring it to about half health when we then use Precipice Blades to take it out. She throws in her Archeops, and we go for a Stone Ash, which takes it out. She throws in a G-Max Lapras, which actually starts to scare me. We start off with a Solar Beam and bring it down to a little under half health. We try for Solar Beam again and bring it down just outside of the red. Then she switches to her Haxorus. We go for Solar Beam again and hit it, bringing it nearly to half, and then he goes for Glaive Rush, while we go for Precipice Blades. We trade moves, and he goes down. She throws in a Hydreigon for the first time, and it terrestrializes into Dragon before we try to take it out with a couple of Stone Axes. I switch into Ruinagrigus, and she switches out into Lapras, but it's taken down by stones. She throws in Hydreigon again, and it uses Dragon Pulse and takes down Runerigus. However, the Destiny Bond that Runerigus used did take it down as well. So we throw out Whiscash, and she throws out Reshiram. We decide to terrestrialize into water and use Scald. It uses Dragon Pulse, and it takes us out though. We switch into Garchomp and use Dragon Rush, but it uses Dragon Pulse and takes us out. We switch into Excadrill and try to use Earthquake, and we manage to take it out and defeat the champion Iris. And now we move on to the final stage of this run. We run into a Sandy Shocks and a Roaring Moon, and we throw in Groudon and Excadrill. We use Precipice Blades, which takes down the Roaring Moon. Ice Spinner almost takes out the Sandy Shocks, but Excadrill gets saved by his Focus Band. Groudon goes for another Precipice Blades and takes down the Sandy Shocks. On floor 192, we run into a Great Tusk and Iron Jugulus. We start out with a Precipice Blades, which brings the Great Tusk to half, and then use an Ice Spinner, which almost takes out the Iron Jugulus. But he uses Dark Pulse and takes out Excadrill. We throw in Ruinarigus after taking a Headlong Rush, and then use Stone Axe on the Iron Jugulus, which takes it out. And then we use Shadow Claw on the Great Tusk, which brings it down to near death, and with a final Sacred Fire, it goes down. On floor 193, a Slitherwing and an Iron Boulder come out, and with a Sacred Fire against the Slitherwing, we take it out, and a Shadow Claw against the Iron Boulder leaves it crying for mama. On floor 194, we encounter an Iron Hands and use Earthquake to take it out in 2 hits. And now, it is time to face our rival for the final time. He throws out a Venusaur, and we use Runerigus but he sends out his Rayquaza and we use Destiny Bond. Hoping to take it down with us, forgetting that that doesn't work on it. So once our Runerigus dies, we send out Excadrill and he sends out Talonflame. We use Swords Dance after taking a Temper Flare and use Ice Spinner to bring it to about half. Then we switch out Excadrill into Groudon and take a Temper Flare. It then uses Brave Bird as we use Stone Axe to bring it down. He sends in Rayquaza again and it uses Ice Beam while we use Stone Axe. Then we use Brit Will of Fire to bring it down to 1/4 and one more Sacred Fire to take it out, while we live with 67 health. He switches out into his Milotic, and we switch into our Whiscash. And he uses Steam Eruption, which leaves us with a burn and half our health. We Terastallize to Water and use Zingzat, which brings it to almost half, and then he switches into Venusaur. We use Zingzat, which does very little, and it Terastallizes into Grass, which tanks Cash's Ice Beam. Venusaur then uses Malignant Chain, and we switch into Garchomp and use Dragon Rush to bring it down. And then he switches into Craganolt with one Dragon Rush taking it out. He switches into Venusaur again, and a Dragon Rush takes him down too. However, we do end up with a Poisoned Dragon. He then pulls out Milotic, and we take it down with Dragon Rush as well as his Electivire, taking the victory and winning our final rival match. Next up, Brubonic comes in, and we almost take it out with one Dragon Rush, but he takes us out with a Sucker Punch. But we managed to make it out with just enough health. However, Toxic does take us out. So, we do switch into Groudon. Next comes Iron Moth and Slitherwing. We use Ice Spinner and Precipice Blaze to take them out. And then another Iron Moth and an Iron Boulder come up. We use Ice Spinner and Precipice Blaze to take them down as well. Next, we have another Iron Moth alone, and it goes down to Precipice Blades. And lastly, none other than the one, the only Eternatus. We start the battle out with Groudon because he's our best man by far, and we use Precipice Blades as he uses Sludge Bomb. We do get poisoned, but that's not a big deal because we bring him to his Emax Eternity state right away. Excadrill comes out, and he uses Flamethrower on Groudon, while Excadrill tries to use Fissure. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, and he takes a Flamethrower, which kills him. However, Groudon did do 1/5 of his damage. Next, we throw in Mega Garchomp, and Groudon takes an Eternatus Beam, while Mega Garchomp uses Dragon Rush. Groudon gets taken down by a Flamethrower, but that leaves Eternatus open for a Dragon Rush from Mega Garchomp, and we have finally won our ground type only PokeRogue Challenge. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. This is Papa Fox signing out. Peace.